Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome back to another in-depth review for Marvel's Strike Force. Now, today I'm happy to say that we will be having a second look at Spidey because he received some quite significant buffs with the last patch and he is, I would say, at the level that he always should have been. Now, in the video, we'll start off with a general overview that includes where you go to unlock him, as well as his tags, and then check out his stats. Next up is the abilities. We then look at the synergies, and that is characters he can pair up well with and also enemies you want to avoid, and then finally we see where he now places in the tier list since his updates. Let's check out the general overview first. So Spidey is a brawler class then, and he's got a high amount of dodge in his kit which can really help out his survivability as well. Now if we look at the rest of his tags, it's hero, city and bio, and of course we've got the brawler one that we have mentioned. So tag wise, he's not really anything special. He doesn't help out in the Cosmic and Mystic campaign for example, and he's not really helping out in any events that are in the game at the moment. Now, in regards to how you farm him, he's available via Blitz, and you can always level up characters pretty quickly in Blitz, so I would say you want to get a level on him as soon as possible because it really is great since he's been updated. Now, next up what we'll do, we'll have a look at his stats. When it comes to Spidey's stats, we've not actually seen any change in these, but this wasn't really an area where he was falling down at all. Now his offensive stats have always been great. His damage is way up at B, so one of the highest damage ratings in the game. You then get his speed, which is up at B, it's 116, so he really does start very quickly at the start of a fight. And then finally you've got his high focus, which is great for applying his stuns, slows and defense down as well. So offensively it really does nice here. Now next up we'll have a look at his defensive stats. When we look at the defensive stats here, he really doesn't fare too well on the stats alone, but that is to be expected for a brawler class. They're all about putting out damage and being pretty fragile. So his health and armour are two of the lowest ratings in the game. They're both down at F. And then you have his resistance, which is pretty low, it's way down at D as well, so that does make him susceptible to debuffs himself. Now what he does have that really helps him out a lot in his kit is he has a chance to apply evade to himself on his basic. We'll look at the numbers more when we do check out his abilities, and he's actually got 30% dodge as well. 25% of that comes from his passive when it's maxed out, and he actually starts off with 5% dodge as well. So that can be really nice when you're playing as him, but as we all know, if you're going up against him as AI, then that dodge will be proccing 9 times out of 10. Now what we'll do with the stats covered is we'll have a look at his abilities. For the abilities here, we have 4 in total we look at then. It's the basic, special, ultimate and also the passive. Now we'll be showing off the active skills at level 7 and the passive at level 5, and what I'll do is I'll let you know how high you want to level each of them. Now when we look at the passive, this is Spidey Sense. So this previously offered you 25% dodge chance, and it still does offer that, but what it now provides you as well since he was updated is on dodge you fill speed bar by 10%, which is really nice given the high number of times he will be dodging. Now that is unlocked at level 5 and we don't yet have the ability to actually gain the crafting materials for it, but if you can hit level 64, once they open up the next level of raid that they have hinted, then I imagine we'll be able to start farming those materials, and that without a doubt is an ability that you want to max out, so you would take this up to level 5. When we look at the basic, this is another skill that received a really nice buff in regards to the damage it does and also the survivability it offers. Now this is called Agile Attack. So with this you attack the primary target for a pretty huge 270% damage, and then you have a very high 70% chance to chain to one adjacent target for 200% damage, which is certainly very nice there. Now what's been added in from a defensive perspective is that you have a chance to gain evade on this. Previously I believe it was 40%, now it tops out at a rather nice 60%. The tooltip also now mentions, which is pretty useful, that counter attacks break the chain. This has always been the case, but it's now stating this in skills, so hopefully they'll do a passive all characters just to clarify this on skills and how they actually work. Now in regards to how high you want to take this out, you want to max this one out because it's only at max level you gain the full amount of damage and the full 60% chance to evade. Now I'll actually mention with the chance to evade as well, it works the same as dodge. So if we think back to the passive, once that's maxed out at level 5, if you're evading or dodging, then that adds 10% onto your speed bar, which can be a really nice combination there. With the special, we have another ability here that really received an awesome buff. This is called Web Slinger. It's 3 turns to charge and it comes charged, so you can use it at the start of a fight, and you will be wanting to do that. Now if you look at what it does, you attack the primary target for a pretty nice 200% damage, and you chain to 2 to 3 adjacent targets for 160% damage. That chain is guaranteed, so if you count the initial target and the chain, you're looking at hitting anywhere between 3 to 4 targets. Things like stealth and so on will actually break it, so just be aware of that. Now also with this skill, you apply defense down to each target for a whopping 2 turns. This really is incredible, and it can help you shred enemy teams if you follow up with some hard hitting attacks. Now also this tooltip, like the previous one, clarifies how the skill works and tells you the attack cannot be countered, but just bear in mind, as mentioned, that if an enemy's stealth, then that will actually break the chain. Now regarding how high you want to take it up to level 6, because the only difference between level 6 and level 7 at the moment is 10% damage on the primary attack and also 10% damage on the adjacent target attack as well. So level 6 for this particular skill. Finishing up the abilities, we have Tangled Web. So this one takes 5 turns to charge and it comes with 3 charges. Now this one, I'm pretty sure it did receive a bit of a damage nerf, but it was only by a small amount. If I'm correct, I think the damage used to be around about 520. Now it's 500, which is still a whopping amount, but what it's actually gained really does help out a lot. So when you use this skill, you will stun, which is fantastic on its own, but you actually slow the target as well. So it's a perfect combination to slow the enemy down, the stun. If defense down is up on them as well, then they're a sitting duck for all your hard hitters to just whittle them down. So absolutely great skill this one, and the animation on it really looks fantastic as well. Regarding how high to take this particular one, max it out at level 7, that way you'll make the most of the damage on it. Now with all the abilities covered, we'll have a look at his synergies. When we look at characters that Spidey can work well with, we really do have quite the list here. Now starting off, you have Jessica Jones. She can work well with Spidey because she can generate energy, but on top of that she can actually increase his resistance as well, and his resistance is a bit on the lower side, so he can do with a hand in regards to that. Next up you have Quake. She can work particularly well because if you add the defense down to multiple characters, Quake can then slow down those multiple characters so the defense down stays on them for longer. Now next up, it's Hand Sentry. He provides evade to the entire team, and of course Spidey, once you'll fully max out his passive, that evade will fill up your speed bar, so that's a great combination. Finally, the characters we look at here are all damage dealers that go shortly after Spidey with some pretty hard hitting attacks, so with the defense down, these can work really well. You start off with Punisher first, who's got the AoE, and also Punisher provides extra damage to city allies, and then you've got Deadpool, Yondu, Iron Man, Crossbones. The reason Crossbones is in there is when his ultimate is up at level 6, you can use it within 2 turns, and that means you can use it when a good selection of characters still have the defense down. And then we finish up with Winter Soldier. That would be a nice combo, the defense down and Winter Soldier's mega punch to the face with that active. Now with that covered, what we'll do, we'll have a look at the enemies you want to avoid. When we look at characters you want to avoid, we really don't have too many here, and it shows how strong Spidey is. Now, you do have Hawkeye to start off with, the reason being Hawkeye has unavoidable attacks, and they will actually work their way through dodge and also evade, which is the only way that Spidey really gains any survivability. Now, next up you have Gamora. She can be dangerous because she goes before Spidey, and if she can get the triple hit on the basic, there is a chance she could actually take him out. Next up you have Deadpool, the reason being he can avoid that taunt, so if Spidey's health is low and one of your protectors taunts up, Deadpool can still target him. And then finally you have Jessica Jones, who goes after Spidey, and on the first turn through her ultimate she's able to clear all negative effects, so she could strip all the defense down that you've just put on characters. Now with all that covered, what we'll do to finish off the video is we'll have a look and see where he now places in the tier list. when it comes to the tier list here, because we're actually looking at Spidey again, what I'll do firstly is bring up his initial rating, so you can see him up the top left of alpha rating there. The reason he was in alpha was the stun was very useful, and also not many characters at that time had the defense down. Now if I was to re-review him without any changes, and given quite a few more characters have defense down now, he might actually even drop down a level, but with the changes he has been given, he's sitting really well now. Now if we run over everything he does have from a positive perspective, you've got the great passive now that once we get the chance to fill it out, you've got the dodge which fills your speed bar, which will really help out when you put him in arena defense mode, because we know he'll be dodging all the time. You've got the higher chance to evade on his basic as well as the additional damage it does. You've got the whopping 2 turns of defense down, which is really fantastic. I can't overestimate how great that is. And then his ultimate, which was made even better as well now with the slow added on to the stun as well, which is an absolute perfect combination. Now negatives is the fact that 1 or 2 heroes can take advantage of the fact that most of his survivability comes from his evade and dodge, and that would be the synergy heroes we talked about a moment ago, the likes of Hawkeye with all his unavoidable skills, and a few characters that can go faster than him. Now despite all that, there's really not a lot of negatives to him. He's an absolute great character. It's awesome to see him really shining as much as he should, because Spidey is a flagship character of Marvel and he should be a flagship character in the game as well. I'm hoping he does get a bit of a visual rework, because I think he does look a little bit bland being one of the first characters, but other than that, if we look at his actual skills, he's awesome, and I would say without a doubt he is now an Omega character. So get farming the Blitz mode to get him unlocked ASAP, and you'll have a ton of fun once you do actually get him started up. Now as always, let me know what you think in the comments below. Next up I'll be looking at either Groot as a completely new character, or potentially Vision, because he's been changed as well and he's actually really good as well there. So let me know in the comments which one you want to see first, and then I'll start working away in that. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.